Hey guys, thanks for visiting my site, and I hope you're enjoying it. It's not one of the best looking sites, but I'm pretty sure you'll find it's pretty informative. This is obviously a new page that you've landed on of our detailing business here, and it's just sort of like a little intro rundown as to what it's based on. It's more or less to do with cars, and basically it's a new page to sort of like show you cars of before shots, after shots, and basically just a detailing page to show you some the projects that have come along our way. And although we should have done this a long time ago, it never quite really occurred to me, so I've only just posted this page now, and hopefully you're going to see some pretty interesting jobs in there as far as disasters and what they look like before and what they look like afterwards, and so forth. But primarily this car here, although it's a typically generally driven car every day, these are the cars that provide pretty much the best challenges, for the simple reason that they're used, they're abused, they're washed incorrectly, they go through car washes, they have, excuse the French, dickhead detailers try and buff them up, and they do some pretty serious damage to them. So they generally are some of the best cars to try and portray as to what they look like before and what they look like afterwards. Now, you may have noticed I'm holding one of these babies. It's called a rotary buff, and this is generally the culprit for what has been done to this car here today. And it's basically for the reasons because you have detailers and you have real detailers, and the difference between the two is that you have the detailer who wants to do a job and goes down to Bunnings and buys a buff and calls himself a detailer, and instead of learning how to use it, takes it straight to a customer's car with it. And you have the real detailer who actually practices way before he turns it into a job, learns how to use the instrument of choice, and then applies it correctly. And if you want to know if you're a real detailer, if you're a detailer's gone to Bunnings and bought a buff, you're really going to find out when you try your methods on a black car. And I generally do a lot of black cars, and I usually get hit with them quite a bit. And this is where a lot of guys pretty much come unstuck. There's nothing wrong with going to Bunnings and buying yourself a buff to learn how to detail, but if you're going to do it, you must have some drive behind you, some form of passion to say that you love doing what you do. Otherwise, you're never going to learn anything very much about paint correction and how to do the job correctly. This is a fantastic instrument, but it is also an instrument of destruction. It can burn paint, it can swirl paint, it can scratch paint, it can do all sorts of things wrong if you don't know what you're doing with it. And it takes quite a few years to master. Now, I've seen a lot of cars come into my workshop. This is another one, which have been used with this tool, and some have had restorable damage, some have had irreparable damage where panels have to be repainted. And it's a shame I never documented any of this, but there you go. But basically, the idea with this car and all the cars that are treated here is to basically remove a lot of damage, and most of the cars that we do, they're generally copy car wash damaged, and it's usually guys who try to use these babies on. Now, this poor customer here has got a lot of swirling and webbing damage, which has been inflicted by a bucket. We have a bird running on our roof, and he's brought it to me because he's basically given up trying to get it fixed, because what's happened is he's tried to get a detailer to fix it, or the car yard tried to get a detailer to fix it. I'd be more inclined to believe the car yard's done it, and because they ran out of options, started taking it to copy car washes to try and get it fixed, and they've done scratch damage instead of webbing damage, which is even more severe. So we're going to restore this car now, and I've already taken some before shots, so if you view further down below the page, you'll see some of the before shots and after shots as to how they come out. And although you won't see very much of the combinations that we use, because they generally do require rotary buffing, you're going to see what the differences are between a professional level paint correction treatment and the before shots, which is basically the amateur treatment, or basically the guy who went to Bunnings and bought a buff. Now, nothing wrong with going to Bunnings and buying a buff. You want to be a detailer? Not a problem. I welcome you to the industry. I welcome you to our trade. It's a fantastic trade. You'll love doing what you do, if you do love doing what you do. But if you're going to Bunnings or your local hardware to buy a rotary buff for the sake of doing it as a job, be prepared for a lot of backache and a lot of heartache and a lot of angry customers. If you're not prepared to use one of these babies and learn how to use it properly before you take it with a customer's car, you're going to have a lot of heartache and you're going to have a lot of pain behind you, and it's going to make your job hell. So as for our customers watching this video, we're going to post some photos of this after it's done. So hope you enjoy the site, hope you enjoy the pages we've put up. Have a look at our car polishing page, our waxing page. It's good info as far as using basic products with orbital buffs. It'll give you some idea of how to properly polish your car or wax your car at home or wash it even. And you shouldn't have to take to your car with one of these, because this is not for amateurs, it's not for guys that want to be detailers for a job, and it's certainly not for the home guy. This is strictly for pros. Don't attempt to use one of these in your cars, but you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble, and basically leave it to the serious professionals. But as for the rest of the site, enjoy the pages. There's a lot of content, a lot of reading. I'm pretty sure you learned something off this website, and thank you for visiting and stopping by. Have a good one.